Okay, well, hello everyone. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, learning how to make webinars with clicks. So what we'll be talking about tonight is how we can host either paid webinars that we are charging for, or free webinars that we are using as a means of marketing. So we'll go over how do we do the whole setup process, make the pages, all that stuff. So why you might want to host a webinar. To one, connect with pet parents who have an interest in what you have to offer. So for example, if you are a puppy trainer and you put out a webinar that is about puppy socialization or how to start leash walking, for example, it's pretty safe to say that the people that sign up for that webinar are interested in leash training. So in your follow-up emails that you'll do after the webinar, for example, you'll know what to talk about basically. So more on leash training and how to get them moved into your services, your puppy training leash training services. Beyond that, it's a way to educate our community. So a way of educating pet parents about topics they need to know about in relation to the problems you solve for them. So are there any barriers that clients need to kind of believe before they get started training with you? So, maybe it's that in the puppy example, puppy parents often don't understand critical socialization and whatnot. So maybe we can educate them on the importance of that, and that will often inspire them or produce motivation to actually move forward with the training they need to do. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. So we also are trying to inspire people to take action. So whether that is changing a belief that actually allows them to see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel, or that they actually need to take action to move forward. So paid versus free webinars. So why might we want to do either one of them? So as far as paid webinars go, these are typically more in depth, and they are more of a complete solution to a problem. So we're thinking more workshops that are kind of in depth, where someone is going to come out the other side with a clear strategy for solving whatever that thing is. It can be a way to bring in some additional income. So for one, maybe you charge for seats for the live events, and you could also charge a lower amount for the replay if you wanted. So I did put an asterisk here in that it can take some finessing really to turn these into an actual substantial income generator, right? So that means coming up with advertisements that allow us to be profitable in actually advertising this. Free webinars, these are a way of getting people more familiar with your business. So like I mentioned, a very niched audience familiar with the services that you can provide to solve their problems. So, if we're putting out a webinar on reactivity, it's safe to say that people that sign up for it are have some kind of problem in relation to reactivity. So again, a way of getting in front of people that need your help, and you'll have some idea of how to follow up with them with additional content, etc. This is a great way to grow an email list. So again, we are gating our webinars. Someone has to give us their email in order to sign up for it. And so this gets them onto our email list. And again, a great way of making a very targeted email list for our business. And this is actually how we prefer to use webinars. So you'll note that, we don't really put out any paid webinars really, or even any paid classes, because we find that to be more beneficial for marketing in getting people into our services and our our Clicks software, but same thing applies for dog training as well. So it can be a really good way of building your reputation, getting in front of more people that who may not necessarily be ready for a call, but they are ready to invest a little bit of their time in getting familiar with you. So off of my soapbox here, I'm going to share another screen, and we are going to dive into how do we actually build out a webinar campaign. So let me find the correct screen. Okay, and so I'm actually going to use a webinar example that we recently did. While your webinar is definitely going to be a different topic, it's going to have different copy, different things you're reminding people about leading up, the structure all applies the same way. So I'm going to start with the pages before we actually get into the automation piece of it. So what I've gone ahead and done is we go to sites and then funnels. We can then create a funnel, and then we want to name it our webinar. So you can see this one, I named it the date webinar, the Google webinar. Now, once we have the funnel created, if we're starting from scratch, you are going to have no steps in here. So you can create a step. I often like to clone another step from a different funnel that already has my branding on it. So that'll save me some time for, picking colors and everything. Or you can go ahead and use one of our templates as well. And I should have actually had one of those open. So let me do that really quick. And so if we go into, let me get into a test account really quick here. If we get into sites, basic lead magnet templates, we then have a live, you could use any of these really, they all kind of follow the same structure, but let's just say you want to use the live webinar, we can have a sign up and then a confirmation. So with that in mind, so let's say you do use one of the templates. The first thing, actually, before we go work on the pages, I like to make the structure of the funnel first. So I'll make a sign up page, I'll move to a thank you page, and then maybe I have a replay page for after as well. So then after we have the structure there, we want to make sure we go to forms and we create a form for this. So you'll see that I've created a 1026 webinar form. And so that's just name, email. You might decide to put dog name if you want to have your follow-ups be very specific, like, hey, thanks for signing up for our webinar and reactivity for Fluffy. And so then we just want to be polite and have a checkbox that means if they're signing up for this, they're agreeing to get email communications. So once we have that form and we've named it, we can then go ahead and go back to that funnel that we're in. I should have left that open. And so then if we go into that page, we can then basically build out our sign up page for this. So you'll notice that this is very simple. And I say, especially for advertising, we don't want people to overthink it. So we want to say, hey, sign up for this. This is what you're getting. These are the benefits. Do it or don't. Unless we're selling something that is very expensive, then we don't have to do a whole lot of convincing here, I really feel like. So I would say we have a headline that reiterates whatever let's say you're running ads to this. We want to reiterate kind of that point in the ad. Or let's say you do like a social media post. We're just kind of we want to reiterate what is that value proposition or problem we're solving, etc. And so you can see that this is now set up for a replay. So we use the same sign up for after we're actually done signing people up. we use the same form as well, and I'll explain that a little bit more. If this was for signing up, I would probably change this to the date that we're doing it on. You know, we have a few bullet points as far as what we are teaching on, for example. And then we have the form that is in question. The one thing we want to make sure of on the form is that it redirects to the next step. And so that just means that it goes to the thank you page in the funnel. So once we have this page done, we can back out of here. And if you're needing a bit more of a builder tutorial, I would recommend going into the Clicks Academy and finding the one-day website, and that will give you a good understanding of how the builder is organized and how to use that a little bit more efficiently. So then we have a thank you page. And on this, let's say you create a nice graphic that goes along with your webinar. I think that's a good practice. I would put that same image here, and then we're basically saying, hey, you're in, check your email for a confirmation. I do not want to put the link for the webinar here because there is no incentive then for them to go to their email and open that. So make sure you say, just check your email, make sure they go and open that email actually. So those are the two pages we basically need. We do have a third page, and that is just for, we'll get there. That is just for the replay. And so this is, you know, basic title. And you can basically see I've reused all the other pages, just changed some things. It has the video in there. At least it should. It does. And then we can see we have a call to action with whatever we're trying to get them to move towards. So that's kind of the basic structure, the pages. So form, couple of pages that we need. Any questions before we move on to the automation, kind of making this stuff happen piece? All right.
No questions.
Okay, cool. So then the next thing we're going to do is go to automations. And so I would probably create a folder that is for this particular webinar, just because we have a sign up one, we have a replay one. I've also created, this is a little extra and we won't cover it, but basically a DM us with the word Google and we'll send you a link to sign up kind of thing. So we do have some trainings in that in the academy too, I believe. So we'll focus on these two. So there's going to be there's going to be one that is for the live sign up. And then after you have the live sign up, we're basically going to make that so no one can sign up anymore. And they basically, any signups beyond that point, they move into this one. So the replay. So then I have the new builder enabled in this account. You can go to settings and labs and find the updated workflow builder. If you want to turn on this new view, this does allow us to see a little bit more as far as open rates, delivery rates, click rates, if anyone replied, et cetera, et cetera. So with that said, we always start with a trigger. You can see there is not a trigger on this right now because we took it off of here so no one else could come in here. So that's what we just deleted. We could have unpublished it, but we wanted people to get emails after the webinar. So that's why we left it published, got rid of the trigger. When we're just starting out though, and we want people to sign up live, we are going to have a form submission. And we just need to be specific with the particular form. So the 1026 webinar is the one I'm using. So that's all we need at the top. Now I'm going to tag these people 1026 webinar because maybe I want to send them a particular email, or there's some other utilization of the tag, whether it is applying a longer free trial, sending them a special email in the future, or just for a, kind of keeping track of who did what kind of thing. Beyond the tag, right away, I'm going to send them an email. So that's just a confirmation email. So confirmed, grow your dog business on Google webinar. So hi, so-and-so, thanks for signing up. Here's the details for our webinar. It's on Zoom, and I'm telling them, hey, we're actually going to send the link out the day before. I could put it in here, but I found to keep open rates high, I want to keep that for a later email, but that is up to you. On the Zoom side, make sure you just create a recurring link for that particular day, and then put that recurring link in here so people know where to go and you know where to go. I'm reiterating some of the things we're focusing on, keeping it simple here. The next thing is set event start time. This is really important that we put this in. That is setting the event date. So we're saying we're going to go live on 10/26 at 4 p.m. And so that's the date of our webinar. And then from there, we have weights that are based on the event. So it will default to time delay, but if you select event, we can then say, okay, 3 days before, I want to send them this email. And then 1 day before, I want to send them this email. So let's say they sign up the day before, for example, they would get this very first email. They then hit this, and then the default is to skip over until we're basically within range. So let's actually say they sign up 2 days before. So then they would automatically go here. And so they'd be stuck in this wait so that they would get the day before email. So we don't need to worry about them getting a whole bunch of emails at once, basically. Now, we can see that we are waiting 20 minutes before. We're sending, hey, we're going live. Make sure you join here. One final kind of push. You could even do a wait 5 minutes before and send out a text if you really want to get your best chance of live show ups. And so then we can see we are going to wait 1 day. And that I'm putting a day there because I basically want to wait so that I have enough time to put the replay up. And so ahead of time, I went to that replay page that I created. I put the recording video up there. And then in this email, I just made sure that I put in that link here for that replay page. And so then we're waiting 3 days. You can see if they move forward with a free trial, we stop bugging. If they did not, then we are basically adding them to our email list at that point, and we're sending them an email. So, hey, last chance to get this deal that we're only giving to our webinar signups. So that's what I know as far as setting up. So just again to reiterate, we have a sign up page that has a form on it. When they sign up on that form, they see a thank you page that says to check their email. And then that brings them into this workflow that we have. So the trigger being when they fill out that form, they get emailed, and then we have a set event start date of the webinar time, and then we have weights based on the appointment leading up to as well as after. Any questions as far as that overall flow? Oh, let's see.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. So like doing Google Meet instead of Zoom.
No, with the Google Workspace, will it take it through Zoom if we're going to keep the videos are gonna reside on Google?
Oh, yeah, so you could, so like you're uploading them to Google after.
Yes.
Yes.
Are we uploading them here? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yep. Yeah. So
Oh,
you
okay.
could upload them into Clicks.
I missed,
So
I thought we were saving them in Google. Thank
well,
you.
no. Yeah. So you'll just be able to take the file and just upload it here.
Great. Thanks for the clarity.
Yeah. So then, yeah, so that's how we go about setting up for a free webinar, right? So just a basic form, we're good to go. Another way, so we could also create a calendar if we wanted, then we wouldn't need the event start date thing. So you could create a webinar calendar if you wanted. I found in the times that I've tried to do a webinar calendar versus a form always outperforms a calendar. I don't know why, but people just, I don't know why the calendar seems a little bit more intimidating and like they're committing to too much. So that's kind of my 2 cents, but though you can certainly try the other way. And so let's say you wanted to make this a gated a paid webinar. So then rather than having a form, you would go to payment. Let me get into a test account here. So you would go to payments, products. We can then create a product. We're going to call this, 1026 webinar. Maybe you want to give it a description and upload the graphic you've created. I'm going to say it's a one-time payment. Maybe let's say $29.99. And we can then save. I'm not going to save in this account. And so that's how we create a product. And so once we have that product in that workflow that we have, rather than a form, we would have a, it's not product, sorry, is it order? Order submitted. And then we just need to be specific with the product. So product is 1026 webinar. And so when they purchase that, we then, all the same stuff applies. So no changes there. What we would have to do is change the sign up page. So rather than a form, we need an order form. So on the sign up, the first thing I'm going to do on the sign up page is go to products. I'm going to add that product we've just created. So that'll appear here. And then once that product is connected to that page, I can go to that page. I can delete the form. And then I can add an order form. I would say for a webinar, that's probably going to be a one-step order form. We don't need to worry about abandoned cart and whatnot. So, so then once we have that order form on here, we can see that, oh, they're not a company. We're not shipping anything to them. So how do I change that? I'm going to click on the form, the order form, and then go to advanced. I'm going to change this to provide your info to sign up. We're going to hide company, hide shipping, and we're good to go. So then this would also allow you to utilize coupons as well if you're wanting to give a certain segment of people a discount for paid webinars. So then that product that we've created will dynamically display here. The only other thing we want to do is just make sure this form redirects to the next step, being that thank you. Okay, so that is how we go about changing for a paid webinar. So just differences, there's a product and an order form instead of a regular form, but otherwise everything else works the same. And so then the only other thing we have to do would be account for our replay, right? So let's say we've had the webinar, we don't want to allow signups anymore. So right before I go live with my webinars, I will go into my workflow and then I will just delete the form trigger so that no one else can come in here, but everyone that's already in here can make it all the way through. And actually, now that this is all the way done, I can disable it. And so then, so we've removed the trigger and I've created a replay thing basically. So I've moved the form over to here now. So it's the same form. So the 1026 webinar. So on that sign up page, I've changed the language to say sign up for the replay. And so then they'll come into here instead of that other workflow. And so I'm just tagging them 1026 replay. They get an email with a link to the replay page. And then I'm doing the same kind of follow-up, right? So if they went and watched it, I'm waiting and sending another email to say, hey, hope you got a lot out of it. If you'd like to take advantage, click here. So I think that's the gist of it. Any questions that I can clarify on?
No, that's real clear.
Okay, so I love when that happens. Cool. So that's what I have for you. In the near future, we are hoping to have some webinar templates for different topics inside of the Clicks Academy under the lead magnet library. So keep a lookout for those. And of course, if you have suggestions of topics you would like to host webinars on, please let me know. And also, if you have any suggestions for Clicks trainings you would like to see, please reach out. We'd love to hear kind of what you guys want to learn about. So I hope this was helpful and enjoy your evening. Thank you so much.
You.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thanks.